Hello everybody, and today I am going to make a review as well as a beginner's guide for ReZero Infinity, a turn-based mobile game that is based on the anime series ReZero, which should have its second season this year. And before we go into the review, I have to say that I do have some base here because I am a big fan of the show. However, considering that the game is aimed towards fans like myself, I can say the developers have done a really good job in recreating the anime in a mobile format. And since the game itself is based on the anime, let us talk about the story. It is basically a retelling of the entire show up until episode 19, most likely, based on the thumbnails of the chapters. And as of making this video, I have been able to complete 6 out of the 12 available chapters. Since this is a mobile game, expect the number of chapters to expand as time goes on. With that being said though, some parts of the main story are told in events. For example, the backstory of Rem and Ram. They have their own maps, their own stages, as well as their own rewards, shops, and so on. Which makes me hopeful that one day they might cover the extra light novels at one point. Regardless, however, if you are a fan of ReZero's story, then this game does do you justice. And with the story being covered, let us move on to the gameplay. As I said, this is a turn-based game. You fight between 1 to 2 waves of enemies and sometimes 3 waves, but that is very rare. In fact, I only encountered this once so far. Anyway, when it comes to the characters that you control, you have 3 main ones and 3 backup ones. The backup characters will replace the ones that you have only when they die. You can unlock all 3 backup characters when you reach level 30. Each one of the characters that you have has 4 different moves. The first move is a basic attack that you can use without any cooldown. The second move is one that requires mana or energy displayed in the top right. Meanwhile, the third move is one that requires some cooldown after using it. The cooldown period does differ from one character to another, but it can range from 1 turn to 4 turns. Anyway, the last move is the ultimate button, which can be performed after filling the yellow bar under the health bar. This can be filled by attacking enemies or getting attacked or by getting buffed by other characters. There are many effects in the game for the moves, so for example, some of them are defensive, others are offensive. Some of them can do buffs, debuffs, healing, area of effect attacks, and so on. This will depend on which character that you have, as some of them are meant to be support while other ones are meant to be offensive types. And because you do not have to wait until a character finishes their attack in order to use the next one, you can perform several attacks at the same time, which will lead to an animation frenzy. Regardless of what your preference is, you will find something that will suit you after a lot of experimentation with the characters. And speaking of which, let us talk about the plethora of characters in the game, where each one of them has their own unique moveset. And yes, this includes alternative outfits. A good example of this is Chinese New Year Ram, who has her own moveset that is different from normal made Ram. And yes, you can have a team filled with different types of Ram in the same team, it does not matter. Therefore, even though Chinese New Year Ram seems to be an outfit, she's actually a new character that has her own weaknesses, strengths, and so on. Speaking of which, there is also type advantages in the game, where you have earth, fire, water, wind, light, and darkness. This means that enemies you might fight are stronger or weaker or neutral to you. Now, do not worry about which type element you should use before entering a stage, because before you enter it, there is a small little guide on the left that tells you which type of enemy is dominant in the game and which type advantages you should use. At the beginning, you will not see the type advantage or feel the difference with it, but as you advance more and more in the game, you will start feeling the difference in type advantages and their importance. Another thing that you will feel the importance of is the modifier system, or what I will call the stigmatas of ReZero. Basically, the cards that you equip on a character in order to make them stronger, give them buffs, as well as give them extra abilities. You can level up these cards and make the character stronger. Another way to buff characters is by giving them items, and these items, just like with cards, can be leveled up. Just like with type advantage, at the start of the game you will not feel the difference of which cards and items that you use on characters. But as you advance more and more in the game, fighting stronger enemies, understanding the card system is very vital. For example, I am at chapter 6 right now. My strategy so far has been using the best cards that I have with the highest stats on my strongest characters. But because I do not know Chinese, I am trying to use Google Translate in order to understand which cards I can use. There is an in-game guide for each character that tells you their stats, which items you should use, and which stigmatas you should use on them or cards. However, as I said, this is an anecdotal example. When this reaches the SEA or the global server, then this will not be a problem anymore. Anyway, the last thing I want to address when it comes to the gameplay is the auto battle feature. Now, usually I am against this, especially in fast-paced combat games like for example Honkai, where you need to practice your reflexes. So not having an auto battle feature in that game is a good thing. ReZero Infinite, a strategy game, is not an exception because you have to practice your brain as well. And at the start, because the enemies are really easy, you will be asking yourself, why should I even play the game if there is an auto battle feature? However, with that being said, I found myself stopping using it soon after defeating the first chapter because the auto battle feature is very dumb. All it does from my own experience is spam your strongest attacks against the enemies as well as your ultimates, and that is it. There is no strategy to it. In fact, the moment that a character gains enough energy to do an ultimate, that ultimate is immediately spent by the AI. Therefore, if you want my honest to God opinion, this is one of those games where auto battle is just, well, irrelevant. I will admit, however, when I grind in a stage that I already defeated many chapters ago where my own characters are overpowered, that I do use the auto battle feature. Essentially, I have the game playing on my phone in the background or on my PC as I do something else. This sounds hypocritical on my own part, I admit that. But because turn-based combat games do take a lot of time by their nature, turn-based, as in you have to wait until the turn of your enemy finishes, then it consumes a lot of time. Again, after chapter 1, or I should say towards the end of chapter 1, I stopped using auto battle feature because the stages were just too hard and the AI is too dumb, but going back to a previous stage where I am overpowered, well, I just do not want to waste time on them. Yes, I know how it sounds, but trust me, until you played this game or a similar type to it, you will know what I mean. Anyway, now that we are done with the character section, let's talk about the one thing that you all want to see. The character interactions that you have on the home screen. Usually, in order to get a character on your home screen, you have to own them. But in this game, it doesn't matter. You can only get a character on your home screen and interact with them as long as you play the story. When you press on a character that you do not have, you will see a number. That is the number of the stage that you have to defeat before you get them. Again, this is on the home screen alone and not as an actual playable character in the game. Personally, after playing so many mobile games, I think this is the best way of doing this system. Yes, you might not have the character that you want in gameplay, yet at the very least, but you can still have them on your home screen by just playing the game. There's also the affection level for each character, where just like with any other mobile game, you can raise their affection by giving them items. In addition, you can tap them, massage their heads, and so on in order to, get more interactions. But regardless, it's very, very cute. Anyway, the last thing I want to address is the cash shop, or the gacha shop, because it's very, lenient. A lot of the things, at least for now, as of playing the game, can be gotten free to play. Now, I should stress that this game is only a week old, and I do not know what future monetization plans they might have, but so far I spent like $3, and that is just because I wanted to support the game. Again, I do not know how this will change later on and how they will get money, but for now, the game is very free free to play. Regardless though, what do I think about the game itself, as I have been playing it for almost a week so far? Well, so far I am having a lot of fun playing it, whether it be the story, event, or just anything else. Even though I do not know Chinese, I still replay a stage several times until I get a good strategy. The moment I complete a stage with a said strategy that is unique to myself, I feel very accomplished. I know it's very rudimentary as a feeling, and you can say that for pretty much any other game you can play, but even still, that is a feeling that I have here, and I think all of you will have when you play the game. There's also the animations themselves, which are a treat, and no, I'm not just talking about the ultimate animations, something that you can skip if you do not want to see them repeat over and over. I'm talking about linking several attacks at the same time. So for example, using 3 AoE attacks at the same time, which is just, well, it looks really awesome. Or using different buffs at the same time, or linking different attacks with buffs. Trust me, regardless of how this looks like a mobile game, quote unquote, the game can be very deep in terms of strategy and what to do. Again, do not let the auto battle system fool you. That thing will become useless very early on in the game. Once you become acquainted with how the battle system works, you cannot wait until you defeat the next chapter in the story, or the event, or whatever side stage that you want. And speaking of which, one thing I did not cover so far is the multiplayer, because I don't know how to access it. Like, I know the game has it because some people told me, but again, whether it be because I just do not know Chinese, or maybe it is my level, I just was not able to experience that. Still, if I were to be honest with you, I do not think multiplayer is important, because if I were to give you a recommendation, I think ReZero Infinity is a really good mobile game that I think you should experience at least once when it reaches an international release. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a nice day. These are my own opinions, so tell me yours in the comments below. Did you play it? Did you experience it? Which character are you looking forward to? And who is best girl in your opinion? Tell me in the comments, I will be reading them. Also, while you are at it, please consider subscribe, rate, share, as it does help the channel a lot. In addition, if you want, you can join my Discord, which is filled with a lot of awesome people, and it's a great community. So again, if you want, you can join our Discord, which will be linked in the description down below. And until my next review, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a nice day.